Welcome to Politics for Thinkers.
Hi, welcome to a new edition of the show. I'm your host, Jennifer Barrito Leiva, and I'm happy to have you here. Still under the weather with the flu, but getting better, luckily, and I'm here. What it matters. If you're tired of the bickering and fight, the name calling, the gossips that has become the journalism world, this is the place you should be. This week we will have a very interesting conversation with a longtime friend that I consider family, a woman that I really admire, a strong voice in the pro-life world. She worked for a long time in Planet Parenthood, this industry that is dedicated to make abortion something normal and um, make the harmonization of our kids something pretty easy to deal with. And after a long, long, long time, she find out what this industry was about. And let me read you the official bio of my guest of this week for you to get to know her and before we begin the show. So let's get to meet her. Mayra Rodriguez's mission is to make abortion unthinkable, to advocate for women, and to expose the truth of Planned Parenthood's treatment of women and what Planned Parenthood doesn't want you to know about the dangers of abortion and contraceptive use. Mayra Rodriguez is the former director of three Parenthood clinics, was Planned Parenthood's 2016 Employee of the Year, and is a courageous whistleblower who won a 2019 wrongful termination lawsuit against Planned Parenthood and an award of $3 million in damages. During her 70 years with Planned Parenthood, Mayra witnesses critical safety and health-related violations, including incomplete abortion, falsification of patient records, illegal conduct, unreported statutory rape, severe injuries by abortion, and high complication rates with a specific abortionist. Mayra's reports of these incidents were met with harassment, hostility, and intimidation from Planned Parenthood. In a 2019 lawsuit against the abortion giant, a predominant pro-choice jury unanimously found Planned Parenthood guilty for terminating Mayra's employment in retaliation for her whistleblowing activity. Mayra credits the faith of those praying on the sidewalk and the power of divine mercy for her return to her Catholic faith and the strength it took to stand against abortion Goliath and win. Welcome, Mayra. Thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure to see you and be able to talk to you.
Thank you, my sister, for having me here. And it doesn't matter how many times we do it, but the fact that we always are capable of wearing something that it's the same, like our glasses, like you have pearls, I have pearls. It's like people don't understand. We never tell each other what we're wearing, and we always end up having something similar. That's just great mind thinks alike.
It's hysterical. It's an inside joke. We always message each other. What are you going to wear today? And I'm like, let's find out. And when we are on camera, we're like, there's no way. There's no way. We never, as Mara said, we
No, because
never.
we would have pearls in our earrings. I have tons of earrings, and we weren't wearing the pearl ones. This is too funny.
Oh my goodness, this is way funny. Uh, I'm very happy to have you here. You have a brand new project that we're going to talk about today, Latinas for Life. You have a new book. There's a lot of interesting things happening, but I would like to start from the beginning. How do you find out there was a need to create this platform called Latinas for Life? It's a bilingual platform.
Yeah, well, sister, as you have seen the world change around us so fast and so drastically, you will not believe. that if we are 80 to 90% Christian, meaning Latinos, Hispanic people, we are 80 to 90% Christian. We're still the largest Christians in the world, the Latino community, the Hispanic community. Yet still, we're falling for this ideology. We're falling for abortion like on demand, like for any reason, like not like no excuses anymore. This is not about like, oh, the mother is gonna die, oh, she was raped. No, we're talking about someone that says, I'm 22 weeks pregnant and I don't want to be pregnant. I decided, I changed my mind. I just find out it's a girl, I don't want a girl. I just find out it's a boy, I don't want a boy. Like, we're talking about those kind of scenarios, which I'm not justifying abortion in any circumstance, but I'm saying they all believed that abortion was just needed in extreme rare cases. It's gone forever from our communities, not only here in the United States, but everywhere in Latin America too, especially Spain. I mean, Spain, for God's sakes. The women over there are sitting down, my sister, and you know this. We have talked about this before. You and I could be chatting right now on a podcast, and I will be like, hey, I gotta finish in 15 minutes because I gotta go take the abortion pill. Like if it was nothing, like I'm getting my nails done. Like this is what is happening in our world when we're 80 to 90% Christian believers. So, and on top of that is the ideology about transgenderism. It's the belief that a woman can become a man and a man can become a woman, and then where it goes from there. Now we're seeing euthanasia in our countries, right? So it all started with abortion, and now we're seeing all the way to killing another human being just because it's inconvenient, just because it's the end of the line, just because they're depressed. So there has to be there has to be more information towards the Latino community, because then again, my sister and you have seen this. I have seen the comments in your page. People are like, that's not true. And you're like, yeah, this is true. Like when people were posting about Venezuela and the dictator being locked up, I saw your page going like, you don't live here. I live here. This is what's happening in my country. You come out with your flags in LA or in New York, and you don't even understand what people have gone through in Venezuela, because people have this misinformation about what's happening out there. So I saw the need for us to be able to have something directed to the Latino community, something that calls them out, especially our women, especially our young men. And that's what the heart is. You know, now we are almost 50% of the abortions in the United States, and that breaks my heart. I cannot believe that the most family oriented culture, the most Christian culture, it's actually looking at abortion as something that it's okay for our community. Like you will think that someone that wants that is working so hard to stop being a minority, which is the Latino community. We demand every day that our voices have more weight. We demand every day that we are more seen in politics. I mean, everyone right now is rooting for Marco Rubio because he's the only Hispanic that is looking as a possible candidate for a presidency, right? And we are saying like it's our time. It's the time for the Latino to step up as rulers in this country. But then yet again, we're killing our babies in the womb. So when are we going to stop being the minority if we're killing each other in the streets, in the womb? Like when? So this is why we started with Latinas for Life. And I'm so happy that you decided to join us and be the director of LATAM or whatever the title that we decided for you. But thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for this space. And yeah, that's it. You know, I'm just very worried about my Latino community. And sis, you know what I used to do before. I was part of that problem. I'm part of that ideology. I'm part of the seeds that went into the Latino community. So obviously I feel obligated.
I'm really worried, and that's why I decided to jump in and accept your invitation to join Latinas for Life. We used to be known as protectors, as lioness, and take care of our kids, and nobody mess with us. And now we are the number one promoters of abortion, at least in the United States. This become into a so-called freedom movement, my body, my choice, which is not truth. When you're pregnant, it's not your body anymore. It's your body and your baby's body. Um, at the beginning, I understand the propaganda made an impact, and that's why our girls, our women, understand this was necessary to feel free, and take the right decision towards their bodies. But happens, as you just mentioned, that women are not getting abortion for the, let's say, right reason. The three reasons: mom is sick, the baby is sick, or the life is in danger, or the mom was sexually abused. That's the three reasons that are permitted according to law. But it doesn't, only the 3% of abortions worldwide are for these three reasons. Women are getting abortions to not lose their bodies, to just because they were not responsible when they have sex with their partners, and so other reasons, but not the, let's say, right reasons. I do not agree the abortion under any circumstance, such as you. But what could happen that the propaganda made the effect, but now our women, our girls, still engage with this concept of so-called freedom? Why is still abortion so attractive to Hispanic women in the United States?
Well, not only the United States, one of the strongest feminism, more aggressive feminism movements, Mexico now. Who would have believed that? Who would have believed that a country like Mexico has one of the most aggressive feminist movements in the world? Like that shocked me, right? The capability of destruction those women portrayed when they come out in March. Besides sad, and you can see the brokenness, right? And the irony, my friend, the irony. Look at what we call in Mexico madres buscadoras, right? Which are these women tired of the cartel taking their children, tired of the government killing their children. And when I say children, I mean from young adults to teenagers to women. So there's this large group of women that every day go out looking for the remains of their children because they know that's all they will be able to find. They know that their children are done, and then at the same time, look at the other group of women. And I actually posted about it. I said, one side of women risk their life every day to go find the remains of their children, even if that means dismembered, right? They don't care as long as they find three legs. They even wait days to see if the DNA test came back to see if it was their own son or who else's son was it. The other side of women are lining up to dismember their children themselves in an abortion facility. And they have normalized both things in Mexico. And I do blame Mexico for the growth of abortion in the Latino community. Like as a Mexican, I'm taking responsibility not only for the part that I played in the past, but what Mexico has played on for Latin America. Not saying that Mexico is better. I'm not saying that, but as we know, the wave starts with Mexico, and then it goes like it starts Mexico and Argentina, and then they take on the rest of the Latin American countries, right? The ideologies. So I have seen that the more abortion grew in our home countries like Mexico and other Latin American countries, then the women here start seeing the immigrant women, the descendants of, start seeing more normal too. You would think that it would have been the opposite. You would think that because the women moved to the United States and they took the ideology to their home countries, but no. My experience from working in that industry 17 years was the opposite. I saw Mexico legalize abortion in 2007, and I saw the increase of women here wanting to search abortion because it's like, oh, now it's legal in my home country. So then if my mom hears that I had an abortion, she's going to be okay with it, right? Now it's legal in my home country, so I won't be as criticized. I'm not going to have to hide it, right? And then it became a thing. Now, on top of it, we have to put it on the table, my sis. And you know, I speak about this a lot. We have a problem in our communities, and that means that our men are very promiscuous. We are known for that. The faster we own it, the faster we can fix it. We have a lot of infidelity in our communities, and men play a big role in that. You know, it is normal for all of us to know a guy that has multiple families, two, three women. different kids with each woman. It is normal in our society, in our communities. We expect it, right? And as mothers, we have to stop allowing our children and our men to do this, right? We have to stop. And again, I'm not speaking because I'm perfect. I'm not here judging people. No, I had done my first share of sins. I'm a sinner too, but my opinion, which is personal, and Jennifer has nothing to do, or politics for thinkers have nothing to do with what I think. It's because I'm free to think, and I have a lot of experience in the how can we call it, in the responsible industry. Why do I call it responsible industry? Because if I you have heard all my stories about the abortion side, because most people are interested in what I've seen on the abortion facility. But if I tell you the stories I saw and the non-abortion facilities, the amount of men that came there for STDs because they had mistresses, the amount of men that came in there because not only they were cheating their wife, but they were actually cheating as a homosexual relationship, like men that were married when having relationships with other men, and then they were coming there for STDs. People that were doing swing parties, my sister. I have heard it all, from the sexual revolution, whatever you can imagine. I have heard it all in that world, to the point that I have always been disgusted, like, to go to certain places because of what I heard working inside Planned Parenthood. Like, I will have never joined a dating site, right? Like, I'm traumatized, and I actually traumatized my children too, I hope, But the point here is that what we're talking about here is not to bring judgment, but to bring light, to make sure that we understand as a society, as a community, that something is very broken in our community when we allowed our boys to have multiple families, when we as mothers excuse the behavior of our boys because they didn't get along with their wife, and now we excuse them to have a mistress and to have children with other women because we didn't like their wife. And I have seen that, I have seen that in many families. I mean, and I'm speaking from that view. The more we have normalized promiscuity, the bigger the problem will be. And obviously, then abortion starts becoming normal. Why? You remember back in the old days, the women have to carry out knowing that the husband had children with another woman. And now they call them bastardos in Spanish, right? The children were born from an unmarried couple, right? Sorry about that. It's my vacuum.
No
But
worries.
so, and obviously, then when you tell a woman, if she wants the mistress to have children from the other woman, she's going to tell you, no, I'd rather have her kill them. Then that mistress doesn't want to be the other woman that just have children, never gets the husband. So then she has an abortion. So yes, we have to understand how the promiscuity from our men have brought out the need for abortion in those women. Not that they need it, but they think they need it. Obviously, the women have seek abortions because they don't want to be the mistress. They just have children from another man that will never be their husband. And then the wife doesn't want the children of the husband running around out of a relationship. So then that's the first thing that started normalizing abortion in our communities. And then after that, this movement that it's telling women they should hate their children, that for some reason we became, I mean, we were all children. Can you grasp that? I don't understand these women when they call baby parasites, when they call babies like a burden. I always wonder if their mother made them feel that way. Did the mom of all these feminist people calling babies a parasite, did their mother make them feel this way? And then we can see then there's an issue about mothers too, right? There's a problem if our children think that motherhood it's a burden. It's because we as mothers probably have done something wrong, to tell children. And I'm guilty of that. I probably have mentioned to my children when they made me mad, my dogs behave better than you. Probably I have done that. I mean, that's a common thing for a mother to do when we feel frustrated, right? Maybe we will be more positive about motherhood, then people wouldn't think that this is a burden. right? Maybe if we tell people how great it is to be a mother, to me, my sister, I know that you have not felt the motherhood. God will provide it for you, I'm sure, somehow. You probably have felt it in other ways as an aunt or as a godmother, right? But to me, having children has been the blessing, the highest blessing God can give in me, the most rewarding job in the world. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't, I will trade everything I have in order to keep my children with me. So, like, maybe that's why we're failing. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
I was listening, and while you were speaking, and your words and your thoughts, let's say, are in the same path that mine. I wrote something about it in the editorial of the week, and I was thinking, actually, there's something interesting happening in Hollywood. Hollywood was part of this whole dehumanizing culture towards womanhood. The actual feminism has dehumanized womanhood in such a point that women are speaking this way you're mentioning, and kids are a blessing. I will never understand. I'm not judging, but I will never understand how come a woman can get pregnant and throw their babies out there in the streets or abort them, which is pretty much the same. Um, and uh, Feminism has created something with the help of Hollywood that is impossible to deal with nowadays. And something is happening that I find pretty interesting. Back in 2020, we have the reborn of the abortion industry, let's say one of the biggest moment of the abortion industry, and this my body my choice thing. But now we're watching celebrities, I mean, not as much as I would love to, but celebrities saying, you know what, I love being a mom. Womanhood is the best thing. Motherhood is the best thing that happened to me. I find it quite interesting. Do you think this has something to do with the fact that women have understand how serious is the abortion industry? Do you think these testimonies of celebrities saying, I love motherhood and my kids are everything for me, are going to affect in a positive way to our women?
Sorry. That I was thinking about what you're saying. Hollywood is funny. You know, One thing I have seen about Hollywood, either from our pro-abortion years to now my pro-life years, my conservative side, is that they like to side with whoever's in power. It's Look at it. When it was Biden in the House, then all these Hollywood people came out about ideology, transgenderism, about
Yes.
abortion. Now that it's Trump in the House and they know it's a more conservative view, it's all about let's empower families. You can see more Hollywood people come out and defend. Whether it is because they didn't feel like they could defend their position under the previous president, and now they feel that because their platform is more conservative, then they can speak out about it. You know, um, but I have seen them that they manipulate with the wave, right? And then they see like what will sell the most right now. What will sell the most, which is sad. I wish that it wasn't, but I am proud of the few actresses that came out and said, "I am pregnant. It's a baby." Like why they're saying that. You know, and I am proud of that. You know, I think Hollywood has played a big part on feminism and also on the abortion industry and on the transgender. And behind them, it's still big pharma. We can't forget that it is big pharma behind them. Also, it is sad that it is the industry that is promoting IVF as a way of creating a family, right? Because I know you remember, I told you I had an abortionist who was actually doing her specialty on IVF, and she was very proud to say in a very sarcastic way. I gave them pills, the abortion, I give them the birth control pills. They fail. They come and see me for an abortion. Eventually, they'll become sterile, and I will sell them IVF. They know. They know it's a wrong business. They know that when you put a woman on birth control at a young age, eventually she will face like secondary sterilization, and she's gonna need help to get pregnant. They know that abortions eventually, if it's not the first one, because we have seen it, we have witnessed women who become sterile after one abortion, after two abortions, unable to carry a pregnancy because of the damage on the uterus, you know. So they know that this industry will end up fitting into IVF. And now we have them use IVF for transgender people too. So they tell women, if you don't want to be a woman, which being a woman means being able to get pregnant. But then in the future, if you change your mind and still want to be a man who gets pregnant, I don't know, it makes zero sense. Then they have IVF for them, right? And it has become this money making industry, which of course is behind Hollywood. I mean, if no one can think and see the correlation between the pharmaceutical industry and Hollywood, then I don't know, like I don't know how we can explain to them how they are behind Hollywood. And that's why big pharma will always use Hollywood stars to promote whatever it is that they want to sell. You saw it on the pandemic.
Yes.
You saw it. It was the first ones who come out of promoting a vaccine that no one knew if it was going to work or not. So I mean, it is part now. There's this whole research about women not being able to get pregnant because of that vaccine. There's a whole research of the amount of miscarriages women had that were vaccinated, and no one's talking about it, right? They were very quick to promote the vaccine. They were very quick to bring it out there. And then now that the proof's coming out, they don't talk about it, right? So I think that big pharma is behind Hollywood, and I think Hollywood just moves with the political climate at their convenience.
Mm. I haven't seen it in the way you're putting it, and now it makes sense. All this kind of twist in the speech of the young women that are claiming to be proud of being mothers, and I mean, I find it positive, but it's not
Yes,
an
it is.
honest speech. So
No, I mean, it is positive. Whatever helps her, like whatever God can use towards family, that's awesome, right?
absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you a really quick story someone told me, and it was a really funny one. But they say that there was this lady that didn't have any groceries, right? And that this guy came in and said, like, he was from a satanic temple, or someone that didn't believe in Christ, an atheist, something like that. And he was like, I'm gonna donate to you, I'm gonna prove to you that there's no God, and I will be the one donating groceries to you because I'm atheist, and I'm gonna prove to you that there's no God by me giving you the money for your groceries, so you will stop praying for that. And she's like, okay. So the guy bought her groceries, and then when he was on giving her groceries, now do you believe there's no God? And she was like, why do you say that? Because I'm the one who brought you the groceries. Yeah, and God made it happen because I prayed for someone to bring groceries, and you did it. You see my point? So whatever God can use for the miracles to happen, we're open, whether someone
Absolutely.
doesn't believe in God and believes in other things, if they are moving things towards a positive thing, which I think that's what the satanic temple, right? It's helping us a lot. We kept telling people that they were using abortion for rituals, and a lot of pro-abortion Christians, which I don't know how you can be a Christian pro-abortion. I used to call myself that, but now I understand you cannot be. But now that the satanic temple is coming out so openly about it and promoting it and saying it's a religion, right? Because we do rituals with abortions. Now it's helping us because now those Christians that were pro-abortion, that said that we were lunatics when we said that they were using it for rituals, for Satan rituals, now they know we're telling the truth. So unfortunately, God has to use many of the dark sides to prove his point, which is what happened to me in my story.
Absolutely. And now that you mentioned the Satanist temples, this that is one of my questions today. They are using religion freedom to work their ways to use aborted babies for their rituals. I mean, can you please, for the audience that is not related to this, can you please explain us how they are using this and how, not with all details, but how are the rituals they are doing with aborted babies?
Well, so first of all, the Satanic Temple has open abortion facilities. The first one was open in Las Cruces, New Mexico, a very small town. Recently, they started looking to open one in the border of Tennessee, which is why they're fighting there with their religious freedom to abortion. They are looking into opening one in California, Arizona, Nevada, right? I think Nevada is the one that it's going to happen faster. I don't even heard this morning. One of the Satanic Temple leaders was actually opening their session for Congress right there on the steps of the Capitol in Nevada.
Wow.
I'll send you the video clip and everything. But um, so the way they do it is they offer women that if they want to be part of a ritual, they can help them with the traveling cost, the abortion cost, and room and board. And if they agree to it, then they collect the remains of the aborted baby and then they do this ritual. The parts of the ritual I'm not familiar with. We have heard people mentioning them, but it's like praying, kind of like whatever you have seen in movies, for what I have heard being described. And it's all to praise Satan, right? And now they're fighting for this as a freedom of religion. Like they have the right for abortions because it is the right to do a ritual. It's part of the religion ritual. And and I can help to think of how many years we were called crazies for saying that that's what happening, that they were using babies to do satanic rituals, right? In my years as an abortion director, I had a couple times women requesting those remains. Now in Arizona, it was illegal to provide those remains except for burial services, which they have to go through a whole process and you just hand over the remains to a burial place, right? Kind of like the legal way you will do any other human body, right? But obviously, with restrictions being removed in many states like New Mexico, which is why New Mexico was the first state. In New Mexico, there's hardly any restrictions, there's hardly any rules about abortion, my sister. There's no oversight of abortion in New Mexico. And they just hand over the remains of the aborted baby to whoever. And they just have to sign a paper, request them, and they give it to them. Here, when I was a director in Arizona, the only ones that were allowed to get those remains basically with less paperwork were the natives. And it wasn't to the native person, it was to their native upper person. I forgot, their chief staff, someone, that will handle those remains and bring it. Because one thing I learned about the natives is that if a woman was seeking abortion, she was forced to create a burial service for that baby. So she will understand what she had done, which I applauded them for that, because I didn't see many Native women coming back.
Hmm.
But, again, it's not saying there was anything positive about it, but what we're saying, it was that the natives have always made them understand that was your baby and you will have a burial service for that baby. That's what I experienced here. So that's what they're fighting so hard to make a freedom of religion for them. And now people can stop calling us crazies.
And you told me something that I totally ignored, and is the fact that they use the consecrated host. For us Catholics, is a big deal. I have zero awareness of this.
Yes, they go and steal them. They go and steal them, and then they try to use the Holy Host as part of their ritual against Jesus. And a priest the other day said something, and I think people can find this video because he's very popular. But he said something. he said that there was this Protestant pastor that told him, I don't believe Catholics believe what they say they believe. And he was like, come again? He's like, well, if you will believe that Jesus was in that house, wouldn't you want to just be there all the time? And he's right, right? And the second thing he said was, the satanic people believe it more. People who hail, who praise Satan believe more in the Holy Host than Catholics, some of the Catholics, right? Because they're willing to risk and steal that Holy Host because they know how powerful that is. So can you imagine? And then we Catholics take it for granted, right? We Catholics take for granted the Holy Host, what a satanic person is willing to risk their freedom stealing the Holy Host. Because the process at the church is that if the priest suspects that someone's stealing it, first of all, that's why they have to make sure they eat it in front of them. And if they somehow suspect someone is trying to steal it, they are allowed to call the police, for them to come and make sure. So I show you that video that happened in one of their rituals they did and one of the state capitals. Remember when a Catholic person even threw himself for that Holy Host when they were about to smash it and step on it on the floor? He ended up being arrested. The Catholic guy ended up being arrested. Because to some state governments, killing a baby and having a ritual is their full religious right. But then us protecting the Holy Host is not. Like, I don't know, sis. I think we are the most mocked religion and persecuted religion in the world among all Christians. We are the most mocked and persecuted religion in the world. Even among Christians. It's like yesterday I posted something about it because a fellow person in the pro-life movement was mocking what the Pope said about Mary and his ex. And I was like, why is it that I see these people mocking more at the biggest Christian religion in the world and going hard after the most Christian religion in the world instead of the Satanic Temple? Because I looked through his page and I saw nothing in the last 3 weeks about the Satanic Temple, and I saw nothing about mosque, like Islam, and I saw nothing about atheists, and I saw nothing about secular people, and I saw nothing about any other form of religion that it's not Christian, especially Jewish. No one dares to speak about Jewish, right? So I saw nothing about that. But then I saw like 3 of his posts against Catholics. You're like, is it about Christ or is it about fighting for your denomination, church? Like, I don't think it's about faith. I think it's about fighting about who's right about Christ, which is, I think, what we're doing wrong. But anyways, I don't want to get side of the topic. That's a different politic for thinkers, religion conversation.
Absolutely. You were talking about how evil is Planet Parenthood. They were capable to everything, not only create an industry around the life of innocent babies, they also are very much involved in the harmonization and change of sex of kids. You have seen it all, as you just mentioned a few minutes ago. Do you think that Planned Parenthood is capable to go a bit lower in order to achieve their goals?
Oh, yeah. After my experience with them, I find them capable of anything, sister. And that's the reason why I wrote the book. I was tired of, well, not tired, but frustrated. Well, first of all, with all, if I worked for them 17 years and I didn't know how big Planned Parenthood was globally, I knew about IPPF, but I didn't know they were affiliated at every abortion facility in the world. I didn't know that, and I worked for them. So then when I started speaking out in public, I realized that people do not know who Planned Parenthood is in Venezuela or Colombia or Argentina or Mexico. Sometimes they don't even know who IPPF. They don't know that IPPF is behind every abortion facility, every birth control movement, every Right now, ideology, transgenderism, hormonization of children, women, and men in the world, they don't know that. And the reason why I wrote the book on my story and left their name, first of all, I'm legally allowed because it's a legal case, public case in a court. So I'm legally allowed to have their name on my book. Second of all, because I wanted our people to understand who Planned Parenthood is. Who are they? Their name, to recognize their name and don't forget it. Because when we're telling you who's behind this, I want you to understand when we say Planned Parenthood and you hear transgender, then it is Planned Parenthood. If you hear kids being removed from their parents' house because the parents refuse to hormonize them, it is Planned Parenthood. When you hear abortions late term, it is Planned Parenthood. You know, everything is Planned Parenthood. They're all behind it, along with Big Pharma. So even Big Pharma, it is Planned Parenthood. You know, I told my children, if I die of a heart attack, it is Planned Parenthood.
It's true. They are really evil, and for those who are not familiar with Maida's story, they promise her when she enters in United States as illegal, they were very welcoming. They told her, we don't care, you're illegal, you have here an opportunity to work and have a future. And after Maida became a whistleblower, they were calling immigration to report Maida. That
Yeah, they
evil.
want to deport me. Yeah.
They
So
were they
when they post right now on their social media, we care about immigrants. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you
uh-uh.
don't. That's the first
No,
thing
no,
you
no.
attacked me with when I was defending, and I was defending my name and the women, right? My case was all about their wrongdoings. They were perforating women, they were harming women, and they were hiding about it. And they were falsifying patient records. And they wanted to lie about all these things happening and accuse me of something that I didn't even do in order for them to fire me after 17 years working them. And then the first thing they say when I sued them, my sister, when I this lawsuit was like, she shouldn't have any rights to do this, she's undocumented. And then I remember the judge, like, I always thank God for her, because even though she was full Democrat, and as you know, here in the United States, Democrat means liberal, just automatically, so on her bio it said that she was for women's rights, reproductive rights, which we know that means abortion. We know when they say reproductive rights only means abortion, because they don't care about any other reproductive rights, right? They don't care about the reproductive rights of the baby in the womb. So that's all it means abortion and the right to kill their offspring. But I remember that when Planned Parenthood in one of the hearings said, well, we want you to dismiss this case because she's undocumented and she shouldn't have the right to sue their employer when she worked there illegally. And she looked at them and said, you had her work for you 17 years. You gave her that right. I won't forget those words that came out of her mouth that day. I won't forget how she reminded them, you used her for 17 years and now that it's not convenient for you. So yeah, I call them bluff when they say they are for pro-immigrant. They just want to kill their babies. Pro-immigrant killing.
That's right. And they go to the border and tell the immigrant women, oh, your baby is a problem, you should get rid of it. They go to jails and go after women that are pregnant and tell them your baby will be a problem for you, get rid of it. And I mean, they are really evil. And
Right now,
Mayra was
right now
you
with the
were
whole immigration thing,
yeah.
they're telling women, if you stay pregnant and you go to the hospital because Trump doesn't want any babies being born of the documented, they will deport you and take you and deport your baby too. And that's why you should have an abortion. When, come on, you know this because you have a lot of legal experience and you are very, very savvy in the law. But you know that that will never happen. Even though we are the only country that allows people illegally here to have children and become legal, we are the only country that does that. Not even Canada does that. I have learned that. But anyways, You know that the United States will never, ever do that because it is one of the most giving countries in the world. So, but obviously they're using that and telling women you should kill your baby because otherwise they will deport you when you get to the hospital. I have heard women tell me that they were told that.
Absolutely evil, diabolical. Your book, which is the book we are recommending this week, it takes a lot of courage and determination of you to make it a real possibility to see it today. Where we can find it if we want to buy it.
So it's called Cristo Misionero in Mexico, cristomisionero.com. And what I like about this editorial, my sis, is that it's just not a normal editorial. When people buy this book from them, when people help them by buying my book, every proceeding goes back to their mission. And what's their mission? Their mission is creating missionaries. Besides priests, besides that, they have a great program for youth that they come and stay there for 6 to 9 months while they get trained to be missionaries, and then they put them out there in the world and do missions. So it's a program that has taken young people out of drugs and have them back into Christ. It's a program that has given place for people that can't find their place in society or they feel lost to find Jesus and find a way to evangelize others. So it's called Cristo Misionero. And right now the book's only in Spanish. I'm working on a translation as it is. Like right now, that's what I was doing in my break before I started with you working. And Jennifer's going to be one of the readers, making sure that I have translated correctly and it sounds logic in English. But I decided to do it in Spanish, my sis, for the same reason. I want our people to understand what's happening. I want us to be more and not less. And I strongly believe that if the Latino community will go back to our roots of being family oriented, protectors of our family, but in the right way, just one family, one guy, one family, children with the same woman, dude. And I
Please.
strongly believe that we will reduce abortion. And I strongly believe that our voice will be more powerful. I mean, look at it right now. If you look at all the candidates, and God forgive me because I'm not saying that he's perfect, you're the only holy one, but if you look at all the candidates run that could be a possibility for the United States in 2028, look at Marco Rubio. Family oriented, there's nothing behind his past, and he has been in the public eye for ages.
Yes.
Him and his family, they come from understanding what Cuba has done to people, what a society without faith, which is Cuba, has done to people, right? He is a family-oriented person. And I'm not here to promote him, but I'm just saying, look at the Hispanic candidate. It's the only one that no one can pinpoint something bad in his past or in his personal life. He has not been involved in any scandal. Like clean record. That's what I want, right? And to know that it's a Latino person, whoa! It's like, come on, we can do this. We can do this. We can be that hardworking, community, family oriented that people know we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's the best person. Actually, I was mortified because a few years ago, the person that was the appointee to be the first Hispanic oriented or Hispanic with Hispanic background for be a president candidate, it was Julian Castro. He has a twin brother. They both are in politics, representing the Democrat Party. We all know what the Democrat Party stands for. So, having now the possibility of choosing a pro-life, a Hispanic guy that is absolutely related and compromised with our values and what we really are, not this progressive agenda, it changed the game for good 100%. Now I have hopes as a Hispanic to have someone that can be our president, the first Hispanic with Hispanic background president. I was mortified because if Julian Castro was the appointee, it's going to be Biden 2.0, and that's no bueno for us.
No, no, he has no chance. And people, I mean, Florida, you agree with me because I know that a lot of Venezuelan, Puerto Ricans, and you're very familiar with those two countries, obviously, your countries. But you know that Florida, it's highly Venezuelan, Floridian, Cuban community,
Yeah.
highly Hispanic. I think that people don't understand there's more Hispanics, Latinos in Florida than California. Even though California seems to be the more Hispanics state in our country, it's still Florida beats them. It's just a misconception of not accounting for the Puerto Ricans the proper way. Statistics, fell statistics, I call them. So if DeSantis and Marco Rubio and other leaders in Florida have done what they have done, I mean, look at how long he was in Florida. Like his record, it's impeccable. It's clean.
Yes.
And I was not even concerned about Julian because it's like the other dude in Texas that it's Bobby Pulido. He's like, come on. Like,
Mm-mm.
what are you doing in politics and lying to our own people? But I mean, I was there before, sis. I was a Hispanic that went into the Latino communities and lied to my own women on things that I wouldn't do. You know, when I think about it now, going into a community and telling a woman, hide the birth control from your husband, I wouldn't do that to my husband. I wouldn't hide my birth control pills. When I told them, hide the abortion from your husband, because I was trained to tell them that they could do that because that's your right as a woman, your body and your choice. Today, I think about it and I'm like, I wouldn't do that to my husband. That's infidelity. That's lying to my husband. That is damaging my own marriage, myself. I wouldn't lie to my husband. I don't want my husband to lie to me. So when we think about that and the damage, as a Latina, I lied to my community for far too long. And I will work as hard as I can, along with Jennifer Barreto Leiva, to open the eyes of my community as hard as we can.
I can't agree more. You count on me for everything. Sister, I don't want to let you go before I ask you something maybe a little bit sensitive. It's very common when you have a feminist woman, she create a lot of future generation of feminist women, the daughter, the granddaughter, etc. But you did something pretty interesting, and is the fact that you used to be a feminist, you used to be a liberal, and now you are conservative. Your daughter used to be very liberal, and now your daughter is conservative as well. How can you explain to our audience you did that change, that shift of mindset? Is any hope for the progressive Hispanics that they can maybe change in the future?
Yes, there's always hope. I think no one's too far gone for God. That's my motto. No one's too far gone for God. But my daughter, like we had our fights. She stopped talking to me several times. Sometimes she says, I love that you fought for yourself in that courtroom. I hate Planned Parenthood, but can you just please stop? Like, can you just talk about Planned Parenthood, but not the rest? Like, you have no idea. When she will say, like, you can come, but don't talk about what you do, I will be like, definitely not. If you want me there, I will say who I am. I'm not hiding it. It took a lot of battles, but on my knees, my sister. I won that battle on my knees. God won that battle, not me. It's for his glory. I prayed and my mom prayed and a lot of people prayed around me. And all I keep doing was telling the truth. One thing that helped Alexandra was during the whole Palestine thing, right? I remember she will send me photos and videos of all these babies blown by those weapons, right? And they were heartbreaking, yes. And one day I sent her, you remember the five, remember from 2022? The five
Yes.
babies that were found in New York, I mean in DC.
Yes.
Well, they're, as you know, they're friends of mine, and I remember sending her the pictures, and she was like, "Oh, I know, isn't that horrible? What's happening?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And she's like, and I said, "But this is not Palestine. This is an abortion facility in DC." She's like, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Yeah, this is an abortion facility in DC." And then I start sending her the videos and the communication among my friends that they were sending me on WhatsApp, because I helped them translate a lot of the videos they were doing. And she's like, "Oh my God, like, I can't believe that, like, that's happening." Yeah. So it's hypocritical when we call out what's happening in other countries, but allow it in our backyards and call it normal and a right. We can't do that. And that started to switch something. But also, you know what? New York helped me. She lived in New York for 3 years, and that opened her eyes too. So I felt that it's the same thing that happened to me. As you have heard me say, the best thing that happened in my life was become the abortion director, because that opened my eyes to the truth. I think the best thing that happened to my daughter was living in New York. She understood what the liberal side is all for. It was very heartbreaking and devastating. She has a lot of trauma from it, but that helped her open her eyes. So, like I said earlier, God uses even evil for his glory. And once we understand that, I think we can let go and let God. That's my tip for any parent. On your knees, keep praying. Don't hide who you are. Don't stop. The biggest mistake a parent can do, my friend, is saying, "I'm not going to have that conversation because I don't want to fight with them." The moment you accept that narrative, you lost your children. The moment you decide to stay silent, to have a peaceful relationship with your child, no matter how old they are, it's the moment you lost. Which is, as you know, what our leaders at church have done. Let's not talk about abortion so people won't feel uncomfortable. Let's not talk about transgenderism so people won't feel uncomfortable. The moment we do that, they lost their ships. And as you know, the number one thing, we have been called out by Jesus. Of course, he wants us to feed people. Of course, he wants us to save people. Of course, he wants us to give housing to others and clothes to others. But the number one homework Jesus gave us was evangelizing people. Our number one duty as a Christian is to evangelize. So if you cannot do anything else, if you cannot provide for people when they're hungry, if you cannot provide for people when this is happening, the one thing you can do is evangelize for Christ. That is our duty as Christians. And that is what parents should be doing, evangelizing their children, even when it's uncomfortable, even if they stop talking to you.
That's a beautiful message to end up the show. Thank you so much, my sister, for joining me today and giving me this hour to talk about these important issues, your book and the platform Latinas for Life. You will have all the links, all the social media in the box of information in YouTube and Rumble. Thank you so much, my sister.
Thank you so much, my sis, and thank you so much for the space. Let me know when this is available. We'll post it in Latinas for Life too, so they can start meeting you and seeing you. And it is a pleasure and honor, and always my heart, because of the possibility and the space you provide for me.
I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here today. Remember to follow in social media in every digital platform, LinkedIn, YouTube, Next, whatever social media you would like to use, we're there under Politics for Thinkers. Also, remember to check on our website, politicsforthinkers.com. You have there how to reach me, our social media, our editorials of the week. Who are we? Who am I? And everything you need to know about the show. This is it for today. See you in 7 days. God bless us. Bye bye.
Thank you for watching